In New York, a $2.1 billion stimulus fund has also been established to benefit workers who were excluded from getting federal aid for the past 2 years. In order to receive more stimulus relief money, eligible residents must have had an annual income of less than $26,000 in 2020. So now everybody, a huge raise is coming soon for millions of Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and VA beneficiaries. The president has just announced his new legislation, and this will greatly affect senior citizens and Social Security recipients across the nation. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives and also the Senate want to move the bill forward as quickly as possible, everybody. So continue watching this video to learn the most up-to-date, reliable, and trustworthy stimulus check and Social Security news. Remember folks, the whole goal of this channel is to provide you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check information. I want to be sure that everybody receives the most up-to-date stimulus check news because many things are happening in Congress. Now, for years, seniors on Social Security have been forced to grapple with low cost of living adjustments or COLAs. And these COLAs have caused beneficiaries to lose buying power. So folks, this year Social Security recipients finally got the larger COLA boost that they've been waiting for. And this is a 5.9% boost that took effect at the start of 2020. And now beneficiaries of Social Security could see another big change very soon to their monthly benefits. Listen to this folks because it starts to get very interesting. President Biden recently revealed a proposed budget for 2023, and that includes $14.8 billion for Social Security. That is roughly a 14% increase from funding levels allocated in 2021. Economists have even said that the increase can help improve the program's services for millions of Americans. Biden's proposal would also include a $224 million increase that would go toward ensuring Social Security and Medicare provide the right benefits to those who qualify, and that funds are spent responsibly. Some of the extra money would actually go toward supporting the investigation of fraud, based on recent inflation data. The Senior Citizens League is estimating that seniors on Social Security could be in line for a 7.6% COLA increase in 2023, and this would mean a larger monthly benefit increase. However, everybody, that increase to monthly checks will not be enough. According to the Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan advocacy group, the letter sent to members of both the House of Representatives and the Senate said the group is ramping up its calls for new $1,400 checks to be sent at once to Social Security beneficiaries. The letter stated, "We believe that a special stimulus for Social Security recipients could help defray the higher cost that some would face if next year's COLA bumps them into a higher tax bracket, causing higher tax rates on their income and surcharges to their Medicare Part B premiums." Also, folks, listen to this. There are only a few more weeks left. They'd love to file your tax return or request an extension. The tax deadline is April 18th, but if you have already filed your tax return and are expecting a refund, it is arrive in about 21 days. And if you use direct deposit and filed electronically, I know some of you have also said that it has been 3 weeks since you filed and you still haven't received a refund. Well, the IRS, everybody, has announced this. It is said that there are some tax refunds that may take a little longer. The agency has cited a number of common factors that can cause your tax refund to be delayed. First, the IRS is cautioning taxpayers not to rely on receiving a refund by a certain date, especially when making major changes or purchases and even paying bills. You should also be aware, everybody, that it can take the bank several days to process the deposit before it hits your bank account. And one big reason why your tax refund may be delayed is if your tax return has errors or is incomplete. So when you file your tax return, it's important to cross-check any information that you've included to make sure it's accurate. But also, friends, please note that if there's a problem that needs to be fixed after you submit your return, the IRS will then first try to proceed without contacting you. That means it could be delays. That means it could be days or even weeks before you know there's a problem. Another refund where your tax refund may be delayed is if you owed back taxes to the IRS. The agency may take some or all of your tax refund to pay off that debt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume. First, I want to thank.
Recognized.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Chairman Neal for his leadership on the Ways and Means Committee in helping to bring this important legislation to the floor. Right now, families and seniors that I represent in Michigan and all across the country are paying too much for prescription drugs, in particular for insulin. And that's why Congressman Craig, Congresswoman McBath, and I have introduced the Affordable Insulin Now Act to make insulin more accessible and more affordable. This legislation would lower out-of-pocket costs for Americans with diabetes by ensuring that insurers and Medicare can't charge more than $35 a month out of pocket for this medication. Insulin was discovered over 100 years ago, and since then, little about this life-saving medication has changed, but the price of insulin in the United States has absolutely skyrocketed, and as a result, Americans pay 10 times more for insulin than patients in other developed countries. 1 in 4 Americans who rely on insulin have cut back or skipped their doses due to costs. No one should have to choose between taking their medication as prescribed and putting food on the table or a roof over their head, but people must make that choice because of Big Pharma's unfair pricing practices. This is something I know a little bit about. As a father of a type 1 diabetic, I have seen firsthand how the high price of prescription drugs like insulin can harm patients and harm families. When my daughter turned 26 and got her own health insurance, there are months where she spends a third of her take-home pay because she's diabetic on staying alive. Now, she has her mom and I to back her. Not everybody has that advantage. But either way, that doesn't make it okay. In Michigan, it's estimated that 1 in 10 people have some form of diabetes, and the average sticker price for a month's supply of insulin is $375. For some, it can be as high as $1,000 a month just because they need to take more insulin. That's just not right. Jill Verdier, a type 1 diabetic from my district, was my guest, my virtual guest at the State of the Union this year. She told me that insulin is like air to people with diabetes. They need it to survive. At a time when Big Pharma is making record profits, Congress has to do more to lower costs, out-of-pocket costs, and that's why I fought to bring this bill to the floor with my colleagues, Representative Craig and Representative McBath. I urge my colleagues to vote and pass our legislation to lower costs.
On Tuesday, and I quote, "Now for the first time, we cannot order enough vaccines to provide boosters for all Americans if a 4th dose is deemed necessary in the fall. If we need variant-specific vaccines, we will not have the funds to secure them, deliver them, or administer them. Last week, we were forced to cut our shipments of life-saving monoclonal antibodies to states by 35%, and we anticipate running out of monoclonal antibodies later this spring. We will not be able to continue making home tests available and the critical surveillance efforts that help us anticipate new waves and variants will be compromised." End quote. Let me also add that it is